Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast.
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. Changes are coming, big ones. EP Blingermeyer is going to sell the podcast to another Terran. For those of you just joining us, the podcast has passed from TC Rix to Rhombus Tix to EP Blingermeyer, who bought it once Rhombus gave up in despair about being able to create a sound that didn't suck. Rumor has it that Rhombus might be available. Rhombus and EP Blingermeyer are inhabitants of an alternate Earth called Terra, which is cooler in most ways than Earth but doesn't have a lot of stories. Alright, on to other things. We're going to have some poetry today by Emmett Other. Emmett is not a robot, but he has no problems with robots. He has a poetry book coming out soon, which is why we're going to share some of his poetry. This Passing Storm by Emmett Other. The chorus of silence. As the skull-shaped ghost cast its pall across the crystal blue of the Caribbean, was disowned by 4 notes. 2 friends. And 2 family. Who deigned to find out. Am I being drowned in surge? My beloved has a smaller family. But her extended family took us in. They fight and have different religions, politics, and even sometimes don't speak. But they are there for each other when it matters. And more often than not, even beyond that, size doesn't matter. I am summarily unimpressed. I am a hard man. And I judged my own blood harshly for keeping me in ignorance. He knew was false. Also, he could live his life as he chose. Live at the expense of others. It is possible they judged me. But in my secret heart, I know they didn't judge me at all. They just didn't care. I am not longer sad. Living in a city of ghosts I do not know. Because apparently every city is this city. So I might as well have a glorious one. The storm has passed. And so has my need for extroversion. Emmett is all that is left. Redwin Tercer got hit by a bus. Didn't you hear? 3 fictional characters by Emmett Other. Let my freak flag fly. The Reverend said. Fly the flag of freakness. The Reverend did say. I sit here. In the city of salt. The magic glittering. And leaves my throat parched. For all its hollow emptiness. 6 hours is she gone. Back to terminus. A reality imperfect. Such pain I knew there will never be undone. But it is a place of reality. Already am I untethered. The clock working backwards. My connection to time flowing. Just as it does when unemployed. I am alone in the city. The cat doesn't really count. He is nice enough. And nice enough to the emergency backup human, I suppose. But a cat lives in dreams. And other realities. Just as much as it does the human world. And I went unstuck long ago. They had a meme. Joyfully streaking the internet. Its breasts and testicles flapping in the ethereal wind. Everyone laugh. Some made out with it. So did I. It was a whore. But a good kind. Of the old world. When such things meant equinox and harvest. Everyone wants to be understood. But no one understood. Or cared. Or noticed. Not really. These fictional characters. Wackaloons all. Sitcoms, movies, action heroes. Still nearer to reality than the flashing flickering nonsense of my etc. I choose a cartoon. And an anthropomorphic asshole. And the spirit of vengeance itself. That's what I am. When you make your credo Elisa's maxim. Live life to every minute. You see the small things. The spider spinning its web. At the Owl Creek Bridge. Color where there is no color. Imbued in a short film by Carcass's true creator. The backside of dream. Built over and over in the real dream time. I appreciate life. and almost every moment. A lover. A poet. A madman. These are many. But I fringe on the fringes of the fringes of the fringes. Odd even by the oddling standards. Sometimes we squawk the same vowels. Some of the more magnificent bastards mutually call me friend. Some even recognize the value of my friendship. Loyalty unto death. Belief until undone by declaration. By word or plural plenary unholy action. But there is a price this exceptional connectedness. There is no free ticket to the chocolate factory for yours truly. No lightning bolt or gamma bomb to imbue me with powers beyond mortal ken. Just an understanding of my ordinariness. Despite my esoterics, I am simply one more among the disconnected. Slightly more aware of it. Unable to connect. Unstuck. Undone. Onto more pleasant realities. Revelatorium Carcassa by Redwin Tercer. When you wake up and find the nightmare is true. Day after day after day. The worst thing you imagine keeps happening. 16 jobs in 16 years. I never loved you. Yes, there is a test today. God is dead. The church is false. Every humiliating thing you have done to find a wife was pointless. America is a shithole not worth saving. Humanity are desiccated apes worse than almost any living creature on earth. What is one more? Your writing makes our eyes bleed. I had nothing for contempt. For those two dream killers in Reno. 5 years ago. But every writer fears. Secretly. Fears more than anything else that their writing is awful. Sometimes when dark truths stare us in the face, we find a silver lining. But I have written most of my material for the common man. All but the last book I wrote. Which I wrote for children I may now never have. So much wasted time. I hate wasting my time. Rather, I hate having it wasted. I have been able to empower others. Worth a damn to do worthy things. Maybe I should stick to that. I have one talent. I believe in people. People as individuals. Even if I no longer give a rat's ass about the collective unconscious. Now I have to bang out 50,000 words of shit. Just to prove myself. To myself. Because we all die alone. And since there is no afterlife, I don't want to die with regrets. This now. This darkness. This is all there is. And speaking of time. Taking a bullet for someone is easy. Dying a little inside. Each time the sun rises. In a city which is sold to you. Takes the cake. Takes the cake indeed. And last but not least, in honor of Halloween, we have a classic Once Upon a Midnight Dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary. Over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping. As of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. 'Tis some visitor, I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December. And each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow. From my book surcease of sorrow for the lost Lenore. For the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain. Filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating. 'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. Sir, said I, or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping. And so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door. That I scarce was sure I heard you here I opened wide the door. Darkness there and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token. And the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see, then, what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he. But, with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door. Perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. Perched, and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling. By the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven. Ghastly grim and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven nevermore. Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly. Though its answer little meaning little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door. Bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door. With such name as nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered. Till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken. Doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store. Caught from some unhappy master whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster till his songs one burden bore. Till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore. Of never nevermore. But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling. Straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird, and bust, and door. Then, upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore, meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing. To the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er. But whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er she shall press, nevermore. Then, methought, the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil. Whether tempter sent, or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore. Desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted. On this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore. Is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil. By that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore. Tell this soul with sorrow laden if, within the distant Iden, it shall clasp a sainted maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird, or fiend. I shrieked, upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, still is sitting. On the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming. And the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.
Shut up! All of these products are available on Amazon.com and other marketplaces. Copyright 2015 Red Anvil Amalgamated. Initial bumper by Electro Rock Cardiogram. To fight the forces of evil!